Okay, picture this. You're lying in a dark bedroom. You just uploaded a story to your social media. You place your phone down, and you wait. There's someone out there who hasn't replied to your direct message in, what, 12 days? No explanation, no apology, literally zero attempt to have a real conversation with you. But 47 seconds after you post that story, boom, their name pops up in your viewer list. Again. You post your morning coffee. They watch it. A photo with friends? Yep, they watch that too. They won't ask how you are, they won't make plans, and they definitely won't give you the closure you deserve. Yet, somehow, they never miss an episode of your life. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are decoding a deeply confusing, wildly common modern behavior, and we're going to break down exactly what is happening inside their head.
They won't text you, but they never miss your story. If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are absolutely not alone. So let's dive into this super frustrating psychological mystery. Do they secretly miss you? Are they just waiting for the right moment to return? Or are they just keeping you emotionally hooked without offering anything real in return? By the end of this explainer, we're going to fundamentally change the way you interpret every single story view from here on out.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at Ava and Noah's story. Now, Ava's story is completely fictional, but I promise you, this exact pattern is playing out on millions of phones literally right now. So, Ava meets Noah on an app. The first month is just a breeze. Morning texts, shared songs, amazing dates. But then, completely out of nowhere, Noah's energy just plummets. Replies get short, concrete plans turn into, hey, we'll see, and eventually Ava's last text just sits there, completely unanswered. But here's the catch. Noah doesn't actually vanish. Every single time she posts a story, there he is, sometimes within minutes. Occasionally, he even drops a fire emoji. Ava is completely trapped. His silence is screaming, I don't want to participate in your life, but his digital footprint keeps whispering, hey, I'm still here.
Believe it or not, there's an official psychological term for this. It's called orbiting. Orbiting happens when someone ends direct communication but continues to visibly follow your life through social media. And honestly, this brilliantly highlights the difference between orbiting and ghosting. With ghosting, they just vanish entirely into thin air. But in orbiter, they keep you trapped right there in their gravitational pull. They stay just close enough to be noticed, but way too far away to actually connect.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating about this behavior is the data behind it. Researchers published in Sage Journals actually studied 208 young adults to understand the real impact of ghosting and orbiting. And what they found is that orbiting triggers a very specific, agonizing emotional roller coaster. First, it's surprise and confusion, right? Then it turns into anger and sadness, followed by attempts to repair the connection, and then, maybe, eventually acceptance. The researchers pinpointed orbiting as a deeply confusing form of social exclusion. You lose the relationship, sure, but you aren't given any voice in how it ends. And that right there is exactly why one tiny story view feels so incredibly powerful. It doesn't give you an answer, it just violently reopens the question.
Which, of course, brings us to the burning question. So, why are they watching? If they don't want to actually be with you, why are they spending their precious time keeping tabs on your life? Let's decode the exact psychological reasons behind this behavior. We're going to walk through a rapid-fire psychological profiling session right now to break every single one down.
Section 1. The 6 reasons they keep watching.
Okay, let's start with the first two, which are honestly the lighter reasons. Reason 1, mindless habit. Let's be real. Sometimes a view is literally just an automatic screen tap. People tap through their stories like zombies. Your profile pops up and they watch it without a single ounce of deep emotional meaning attached. A story view requires absolutely zero effort and zero accountability. Reason 2, pure curiosity. Humans are just naturally curious creatures, especially about people who were once important to them. They might be wondering, are they dating someone new? Do they look happier without me? But here is where we really hurt ourselves. You can absolutely wonder what happened to someone without actually wanting to rebuild a life with them.
So the crucial point really boils down to this: curiosity watches versus intention acts. We so often translate their idle curiosity into real intention. We sit there and think, well, if they're checking on me, they must want me back, right? But no, those are two completely different universes. Someone can absolutely wonder about your life while having zero plan to participate in it.
Let's move on to reason 3, and this one is a bit more complicated. Missing you is an emotion, versus returning responsibly is a decision. According to a really interesting recent discussion in GQ, sometimes they genuinely do miss you. They miss the validation, the comfort, maybe even the version of themselves they were when they were around you. Watching your story gives them this low-effort emotional hit without forcing them to face the very real risk of a difficult conversation.
But listen to this. Someone can honestly miss you and still completely lack the emotional maturity or the courage to actually rebuild a relationship with you.
Moving right along to reason 4, testing the waters for access. Now, this has very little to do with love and absolutely everything to do with reassurance. They want hard proof that the door to your life is still unlocked. They drop a random like or an emoji just to see if they can still provoke a reaction from you. Think about it. If they send a fire emoji, will you reply? Doing this gives them a massive sense of importance and ego validation without requiring them to offer you any real commitment in return. It's a total power play.
And make no mistake, this behavior is incredibly damaging. A massive study published in Computers and Human Behavior actually looked at 762 participants to see how social media observation impacts us after a split. They found that even passive exposure, just seeing their name pop up in your viewer list, was strongly connected with poorer breakup recovery and negative emotions. This digital ambiguity literally keeps your emotional wounds open and active. They might not be in a relationship with you anymore, but they are absolutely occupying rent-free space inside your mind.
Which leads us directly into reason 5, keeping you as a backup option. Look, some people don't want a relationship with you right now, but they also absolutely panic at the thought of you becoming completely unavailable to them. So what do? They maintain this tiny, microscopic connection. A story of you here, a random reaction there. It is nowhere near enough to give you security, but it's just enough to make sure you don't forget about them, just in case their other dating options happen to fail. It provides them with access to you, but with absolutely none of the responsibility. And finally, we hit reason 6. This is the hard truth that just cuts through all the complex psychological theories. Watching is easy. Showing up is hard. A story view might not be some complex, secret code you need to crack. It might simply be the absolute maximum amount of effort this person is willing to give you. Watching doesn't require an apology. Watching doesn't require vulnerability. So we have got to stop asking, why are they watching me? And start asking, why am I treating their smallest, easiest action as evidence of some grand intention? So how do we protect ourselves from this? How do you know if a notification is just meaningless orbiting or the start of a genuine, real return? Section 2, the 3-level accountability test. Okay, we've broken this down into a super practical framework of 3 steps. Level 1 is observation. They watch your stories, they visit your profile. This just shows awareness. Nothing more. Level 2 is contact. They drop an emoji or say a quick hey. Sure, it's a little more than observation, but it is still incredibly low effort. And then we have level 3, accountability and action. Pay attention because this is the only level that actually matters. This is where they fully acknowledge what happened, explicitly explain their intentions, and make a clear, concrete plan to speak with you properly. When you put them side by side, the difference is just striking. Orbiting sounds like, you look good, or just sending a lazy fire emoji. A genuine return sounds like, I handled things really badly when I disappeared. You completely didn't deserve that. Let's talk. One person is literally just testing to see if they still have access to your attention. The other is actively risking their own discomfort to create clarity and genuinely reconnect. Never, ever confuse an opening notification with an open heart. So what do you do if you're stuck in someone's orbit right now? It is time to stop performing for an emotionally unavailable person. Section 3, setting your digital boundaries.
All right, here's your concrete action plan. First things first, stop checking the viewer list. Just stop. Every single time you search for their name, you are training your own brain that their attention is the most important thing in your life. Second, stop posting indirect messages. No sad lyrics, no jealousy-inducing thirst traps. Third, set a hard boundary. Mute them, hide your stories from them, or just flat out block them. And listen, this isn't some game to make them panic. This is you taking responsibility for protecting your own mental peace and attention. And fourth, if you absolutely, desperately need clarity, send one direct message asking for a real conversation, and then leave it alone. The ball is in their court.
Let's go back to our case study, Ava, to see how this actually plays out in the wild. So Ava finally got tired of turning every single post into a question, right? So she took control and she hid her stories from Noah. And what happened? Literally 3 days later, Noah finally messages her. Did you hide your stories from me? Ava's heart jumps. She's thrilled for a second. She asks him, were you hoping to reconnect and have a real conversation? And Noah's response? It is the ultimate, undeniable proof of everything we've talked about today. He says, I don't know. I just liked seeing what you were doing. Ouch. He didn't actually want to reconnect. He just panicked because he suddenly lost his free access. He wanted a comfortable window into her life, not a place inside it. He wanted visibility without an ounce of responsibility.
So, the absolutely crucial point I want you to take away from this entire explainer is this. Attention is not intention.
Just because they are looking at you does not mean they are stepping up for you. Being watched digitally is absolutely not the same thing as being chosen. Someone who truly wants to be in your life, they will not require you to solve a digital mystery to figure out how they feel.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Stop decoding views. Start believing patterns. If their established pattern is absence, silence, and low-effort hovering, you need to believe that pattern over a random story view. It's time to cut the digital gravity and let them float away. So ask yourself today, will you stay trapped in their orbit? Or will you finally close the app and demand the real, genuine connection you actually deserve? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.